Hello, everybody. It's Dr. Stuart Alan Swerdlow.
And Janet Diane Moria Swerdlow.
And this is the Expansions News Podcast for the very last week of January 2018.
And I want to thank everybody who sent me lovely birthday wishes last week. I had a lovely birthday, and thank you for taking me for a lovely dinner.
Mm-hmm. You're welcome. Of course, people didn't send me as many nice things when it was my birthday. But since you're now a dame, in more ways than one I may say, that's why they figured they want to get on your good side.
And you think that's why?
Mm-hmm. I'm pretty sure of it.
Maybe they know I have a sword too now.
Not the same as mine.
Sure.
Anyway, we have just brief news because, as some of you know, those of you who read the website and pay attention, I am leaving tomorrow to New York and quick stop in Colombia, then on to Ecuador, and then another quick stop, hopefully very quick, in El Salvador, and then coming back. So.
And of course you have a seminar in Quito. So for those of you who speak English and Spanish, and you have friends and relatives in Ecuador or who can get there, please tell them about this, because the way I understand it's already pretty full.
Oh, yes, and if you do come, we can be Ecuadorable together. Mm-hmm. Well, on to the news, and it's a bit of a strange story, although I have reported briefly on something similar to this before. But according to so-called experts, New York City is overdue for an earthquake from very brittle grid of faults that are underneath the city. And they said a magnitude 5 or higher quake in 1884 could actually happen again, and that there has been a roughly 150-year periodicity cycle, means every 150 years is a big quake, and the next one could be at any time. Well, they said the very last quake that was centered in the city was a 2.6 that struck on October 2001, which may have been due to the electromagnetic pulse from 9/11 just a month before. And they said that in the records, there was a very large quake in New York in 1737, which actually knocked people off their feet. And in 1884, there was another quake that caused one death. And so they said 1737, 1884, 2000, blank, when will that happen? And it's getting very close. They said the earthquake could happen any day, or it could happen not for another 100 years. You just don't know. And there's no way to predict, so they say. However, the mere fact that they're reporting this on the news means that they expect it relatively soon. I'll remind everybody that it was a couple of years ago, the 5.8 earthquake that struck Virginia, that was felt in New York City and even here in Michigan, actually. Mm-hmm. So these things happen all the time. Now, global warming story. The Tokyo Fire Department, which runs an ambulance service, said they responded to over 2,800 calls this past week due to a rare and heavy snow that was chaos in one of the world's most populous cities. And from what I remember, Tokyo has somewhat a little over 15 million people. Maybe actually in the metro area there could be 30 million. And according to this story, the temperature in Tokyo dropped to -4 Celsius or 25 Fahrenheit, which in Michigan is like
that's warm.
That's like we go naked in that weather. But in Tokyo, they said it was the coldest in 48 years, which is I can't believe it doesn't get colder than that in Tokyo. And the funniest thing is the government warned that glacial conditions in Tokyo would continue. Glacial, -4 Celsius. That's like, I'm telling you, that's spring here. Anyway, the weather agency issued a low temperature warning for Tokyo for the first time in 33 years. By the way, the heavy snowfall that they're talking about was approximately 23 centimeters or just over 9 inches. To us, that's called Wednesday afternoon.
I was going to say, we can get that in an hour.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's the biggest snowfall in Tokyo since February of 2014. Now, another interesting story for those of you who don't like Mr. Trump and wish that Mr. Obama would come back. Well, here's a story, a photograph of in 2005 of then Senator Barack Obama taken with Nation of Islam leader Louis Farrakhan has been released after a 13-year cover-up to protect Mr. Obama's political career. Obama had engaged in, quote, a warm conversation with constituent and fellow Chicagoan Minister Louis Farrakhan, unquote, which, by the way, he now lives here in Michigan, not far from Lansing. Farrakhan is a black supremacist and anti-Semite who, which, by the way, Arabs are Semites, so that means he hates Arabs too, who also holds anti-gay views. And it also comes in the wake of revelations about Obama's decades-long membership in the Trinity United Church of Christ, which is led by a racist preacher, black one, Jeremiah Wright. So Mr. Obama is no different than anybody else that you think is a racist and a hate monger.
Yeah, that's right.
It just covers it up well.
So let's just get along.
I just don't know if you have a story about the flu. They're saying that there's a flu epidemic here in the United States and that it hasn't peaked yet. Personally, you and I, we don't know even one person that has it. And yet, on the news every day, young people are dying. Apparently, young, I shouldn't say young, but middle-aged women and younger, children, they get sick and within 2-3 days they just drop dead just from simple cold and simple flu symptoms, and it's unexplained why they die so quickly.
Well, probably because they want more people to get the flu shots, and since they're not, they want to scare people.
That's what I was going to say. And one other thing is, so apparently Melania Trump has removed herself from the White House and from Mr. Trump. She did not accompany him to the Davos, Switzerland meeting of the snooty, snobby people, and apparently stayed in a very wealthy, expensive hotel instead of being with him. And this is because of the story emerging of the porn star that had an affair with Mr. Trump while Melania was actually giving birth. So I don't really blame her for that.
Well, it's still all staged.
But Trump is calling it fake news, and he was booed.
Yeah, but they all marry for whatever reason, so they all sleep with everybody.
Yeah, and the other thing which I find hilarious, if it wasn't so horrible, is that at the Davos conference, Hungarian reptilian George Soros said that Trump administration was evil and horrible and only should be temporary. That's like Hitler saying that the Muslims are bad.
Yeah, it's the kettle calling the pot black.
Yeah, he's not the kettle. He's the kettle, the fire, and everything else. Mr. Soros, it's time for you to rest in peace.
Or pieces.
In pieces. That's what I'm going to say. He should rest in pieces.
All right. So,
go
is that it? Okay, I've got a few interesting stories for you. Now, this one kind of dovetails a couple of them on what you were talking about. First of all, did you know that Israel's national airline called El Al, the pilots are saying that they will not assist in mass deportation of black asylum seekers. Did you know that?
Yes, and I agree with them.
They are citing Jewish values and a moral obligation to stand against the government. Apparently, the government has made a decision to deport 35,000 Eritrean and Sudanese asylum seekers. And so this is sparking a controversial international condemnation of this. So,
well, Israel is wrong. I don't agree with most of what the government of Israel, or especially particularly Mr. Netanyahu, does and says. I think that he's very right-wing and stands for everything against what the original nation was supposed to stand for. And these people came to Israel because it was a place of safety and security for them, and now he wants to throw them out. What if they were Jews in another country? What would he say?
And so a lot of them have taken on the Jewish religion, correct?
Have they? No.
No?
They're still African, and but they knew that Israel would be a safe haven, and now the government, and I can't say that Israel's throwing them out, Netanyahu's throwing them out. They should throw Netanyahu out.
They've been in there for like decades, haven't they? Some of these?
Many.
Yeah. So anyway, I thought it was interesting that the pilots, which is a national airline, is standing up against
Well, this is because they have seen this in Germany, where Lufthansa pilots have also refused to deport asylum seekers.
Okay, then there's a website called JewsNews.com.
Jews News?
Jews News.
Is that Blues News?
Maybe.
Yeah.
But I want you to understand, this is the headline. The headline is New World Order. Former Italian Prime Minister declares Pope as the main leader of the left wing. Now, I read through this whole article, and not once was it mentioned anything about the New World Order, even though it was in the headlines.
That's because it's Jewish news, and they try to make things maybe a little more...
Yeah, but they put that in big, bold letters, capitalized, in the headline. And then it went on to say that the former Italian Prime Minister, Massimo D'Alema, has declared Pope Francis the main leader of the left wing.
Well, he's a leader of something.
Yeah, and so anyway, I just thought it was interesting that they put that out, the Pope and the New World Order together. So something's going on there as well. They're trying to get a message across. Mm-hmm. And now back to Hawaii, and the employee...
I'd like to go back to Hawaii.
No, not me.
No?
No, I've been there enough. Who triggered false missile alert will not cooperate with the FCC.
Because they want him to lie.
But what was interesting to me is, first of all, this isn't news. Like, let's say this was about national security. Generally, people just kind of disappear. They don't put this all over the news. So why are they putting it all over
First
the news?
First of all, as I mentioned the last time you brought this up, if he really had made a mistake, he wouldn't be reassigned. He would have been fired and punished.
Or worse. So anyway, but it goes on to say that the leader of... where are we here? Lisa Fowkes, who is...
FCC.
Yeah. Well, I'm not sure. Here we go. Anyway, it says, she said, "We are disappointed that one key employee, the person who transmitted the false alert, is refusing to cooperate with our investigation. We hope that person will reconsider."
He is being told not to cooperate by higher authorities, and they're making a big deal out of it. And why? Because I understand that off the west coast of Hawaii, many tankers and merchant ships saw missiles come out of the ocean headed towards Hawaii when the missile alert was then issued.
Oh, I see.
So it wasn't coming from North Korea or anything else, and it wasn't a mistake. But who launched those missiles, and what was their purpose?
Yeah, very interesting. And the thing is that later on in the article, it states that this person had a full written report, and the reason they don't want to do anything more, they're claiming, is because they've already given everything in the written report, and there's nothing else to say.
Because I'm sure he really didn't make a mistake. He saw incoming missiles and hit the button, and then he was punished or told to stop because they really weren't attacking. They were doing something else. Maybe they were being fired at UFOs or something else in the sky.
And there's a whole convoluted reason why it took them 40 minutes to correct it and resend that too. Mm-hmm. So it's
because they had to wait till the missiles reached their destination, and then they could turn it off.
A lot of weird things going on. Obviously, you just have to read the news and read between the lines and put together the
same
stories.
thing happened in Japan right after that.
Right. Now, apparently, Joe Marnie, who is in a relationship with Mr. Bolton of Mr. Bolton, of the British political party UKIP, made vile and racist remarks about Meghan Markle.
So wait, he's gay though.
Well, she said she started her relationship.
Oh, girlfriend. Oh, never mind. I thought it was two men. Never mind.
No. This is J.O., female Joe. Sorry. She's a girlfriend of him. So she's female. Excuse me. She said in these texts that Prince Harry's, quote, black American, unquote, fiance will, quote, taint, unquote, the royal family with her seed. Excuse me.
Stop smoking. I wish you would stop smoking.
And pave the way for, quote, a black king.
Yeah,
now remember,
that'll be the day.
But remember, the thing is that we have talked many times about their ties to Africa. Mm-hmm. And they're trying to assume the black identity, right? When was Prince William's, I think, 21st birthday, and the Queen all dressed, she dressed up.
She became the Queen of Africa.
Yeah. So now it's interesting. Now they're bringing in a female with black genetics. Mm-hmm. The messages goes on to where this woman describes Markle, whose mother is black and whose father is white, as a scrubber and a gender equality twat who's obsessed with race and a dumb little commoner.
Ooh.
Then she writes that next will be a Muslim prime minister and a black king.
Well, Britain, what is going on with you people?
So apparently they made her apologize, of course. But in the meantime, this is all over the news. So that's a way of anchoring it into physical reality. And like I said, this is why you have to watch what's happening over decades to figure things out. Mm-hmm. And it's no accident that Meghan Markle is now being brought into the royal family.
There's a reason why.
Exactly. So keep your eyes open because there's a lot of things going on. And they're telling you. You just have to know how to read it. And on to the Netherlands. Police in the Dutch city of Rotterdam have launched a new pilot program which will see them confiscating expensive clothing and jewelry from young people if they look too poor to own them.
What?
Yes. They're going to target younger men and designer clothes that seem unlikely to be able to legally afford it.
I don't think that is illegal.
They passed a law. It says if it's not clear how the people paid for it, will be confiscated.
So if somebody gave me something really nice and I was wearing it and I happened to be wearing old clothes that day, they can confiscate it because I don't look like I own it?
If you
that can't be right.
If you don't have proof that you paid for it...
How can you have proof someone gave you a gift?
I'm just telling you. They said that the Rotterdam police chief said that they're often young men who consider themselves untouchable. We're going to undress them on the street.
Oh my goodness. No, Holland. That's why you're the Netherlands.
Yeah. He said, well, the Netherlands, they call that the Nether region.
There's a reason why Germany always invaded you.
He said the police chief went on to say the young men targeted often have no income and are already in debt from fines for previous convictions but wearing expensive clothing. So this, I don't know how this does it, but he says this undermines the rule of law, which sends a completely false signal to local residents. And then he said that they're going to start the trial soon, and they're going to target one gang in particular. And then apparently they did the same thing for people driving expensive cars, but they suspected they didn't have the income to have the expensive car.
Well, it's one thing if they're targeting known gang members, and it's another thing if they're just profiling people who look like they're poor but then shouldn't have what they're wearing.
Well, that's what they claim this will happen. In my opinion, it sounds like it's an introduction to things that's going to happen around the world globally.
Well, Holland allows everything.
I know, but this could be a test for other places in the world. And on to China. In China, they have cloned 2 identical long-tailed macaques.
I saw that.
They were born 6 and 8 weeks apart.
A macaque, they're macaques.
Macaque?
It's a monkey. A macaque is a bird.
Oh, macaque. Making them the first primate, which primates, of course, include monkeys, apes, and humans, to be cloned from a non-embryonic cell. Chinese scientists have cloned monkeys using the same technique that produced Dolly the sheep 2 decades ago.
Hello,
That was a big thing. Breaking a technical barrier.
I went to that place in Scotland, by the way.
You did? Did you see Dolly?
No. She was having her nails done or something.
Anyway, breaking a technical barrier that could open the door to copying humans. So Dolly, who was born in Scotland in 1996, it says scientists have successfully used the same technique to clone more than 20 other species, including cows, pigs, dogs, rabbits, rats, and mice.
I think Dolly's like lamb chops now.
However, in primates, they can't use this technique. So then experts began to wonder if primates were resistant to cloning, which of course they know they're not because it's been done all over the world.
They've been cloning for decades. The Germans did it in the 20s.
Yeah, but now they're making it public. So now this is a big breakthrough because of what the Chinese did publicly. So now here you go. What do you think about pole dancing?
Well, I do it a few times a week, but it chafes my skin.
That's true.
I guess I should wear clothing when I do it.
I guess you should.
And I should probably be inside.
Probably. And not out in the snow in front of the house because the neighbors have been complaining lately.
Because especially when in the cold, you can kind of get stuck in certain parts,
Yeah, well, that's why the neighbors are complaining.
Sticks to the pole.
Yeah, they don't like it when you stop the show.
Then it's like 2 pole dancing, you know what I mean?
I don't want to talk about it. Anyway, do you know that pole dancing could be declared the next Olympic sport?
Of course, it should be.
Pole dancing has already been granted observer status by the Global Association.
Or do they mean people from Poland?
No.
Like Polish people dancing, pole dancing.
Well, they may be, but
that could be another
Well,
one.
they actually have a picture, but maybe it's a pole on the pole. I don't know. Anyway, so it's been granted observer status by the Global Association of International Sports Federation, which means it's conditionally recognized as a sport. So even without Olympic recognition, there are still people who get together and compete for pole dancing awards, I guess. They compete in categories for men, women, doubles, masters, and youth. They started in London to coincide with the 2012 Olympics.
But they didn't do it in...
But was in the same place to draw attention. And then every year since 2012, they've held this championship in London. Yep. And then going on to our good program called Transgender Programming. Colonel Sanders, did you know, is now being played by a female. Reba McEntire.
What?
Yep.
What?
KFC's first female Colonel Sanders.
Oh, no.
Yep.
Not Reba.
Yep. It says the company unveiled a commercial last week which poked fun at the fact that having McEntire sing lyrics asking the audience to ignore the Colonel's resemblance to a famous country singer and stating that he, quote, is definitely not a woman, unquote. So I thought that was interesting for programming.
Reba has a little bit of issues since her divorce.
Maybe. And then, do you know who Simon Shelton Barnes is?
No, but I'm about to find out.
You
Oh,
are.
I do know.
You said you glanced at my
I
notes.
cheated. I did cheat.
Simon Shelton Barnes was the Teletubbies character Tinky
Tinky
Winky. Tinky Winky has died.
Oh my God, not Tinky.
And he was only 52, and they do not say why. So I thought that was interesting.
Well, maybe he had overheated from being in that costume.
He's a father of 3, a trained ballet dancer and choreographer who was cast as the purple character in the late 1990s.
He's the one that had a purse, wasn't he?
Yes, and that's what set him apart. Well,
thought
no,
he was gay.
Well, I don't know. He had children, but that doesn't mean anything
How can he have
these
children
days.
if he was inside that thing?
I don't know. But speaking of Barnes, did you hear what Barney the dinosaur is doing?
Yes, I did, and I forgot what it was.
Okay, so we have Barnes, who's dead, played the purple character, Tinky Winky. Now we have
another purple one.
Barney the dinosaur, and he was also purple. Now this man is now a sex guru
Well, that makes sense.
who has sex with clients without a condom. And so,
Wow, can you apply for that job?
well, he's 54 years old, and he said that he started learning about tantric sex in his 20s while training as a masseuse, because technically he's a software analyst at Texas Instruments.
Yeah, I know what instruments he's using.
But then when he landed the job as Barney in 1991, he said that he was warned by the show's attorneys not to teach, practice, or talk about Tantra while under contract.
Well,
But
he's
he-
also in a costume.
But he ignored, listen to this part, he ignored their warnings and continued to practice, quote, sexual spirituality. So they're again tying this to New World religion. Sexual spirituality. He says he even used his tantric training to survive the 120-degree heat while inside his T-Rex costume. And he said that it's based on the foundation of love. Love, everything stems, grows, and evolves from love.
Right.
And he doesn't use condoms because it blocks the energy. So anyway,
Well, I actually agree with that.
he is saying, well, but you just don't go around having sex with everybody and their brother.
Well, not
without
the
that.
brother, but...
Well, we just don't do that kind of thing because it's going to pass venereal disease and other things around.
Not if you're pure.
Well, I don't know that he's pure. But anyway, so Barney the
Tinky
dinosaur.
Winky was pure.
Tinky Winky was purple. And then, let's see, I have another. Anyway, I just think the Barnes thing is interesting. Then we have Joel Taylor. Do you know who he was?
No.
He was 38 years old.
Oh, yeah. I
The
do
star
know, I
of
know.
Discovery Channel's Storm
Which I don't watch
Chasers.
television, so...
He died,
Yeah,
and they have not yet told why he died.
Yes, they did.
What was it?
He took an overdose of a date rape drug.
Really? Did he
Yeah.
take it himself, or did they give it to him?
They said he was on a gay cruise.
Oh.
Did you read
Somebody
the story?
I-
Did you read the story?
I tried to find it. I couldn't find
No,
anything.
he was on a Royal Caribbean all-gay cruise, which, by the way, the one from Australia was entertaining the woman. She's like her has-been now, Olivia Newton-John. Anyway, so and he was on the dance floor, and they said he was taking the GHB stuff, and the thing is that it doesn't take effect right away, so you think you should take more, and take more, and take more, and then he passed out, and they carried him to his cabin, because usually after you pass out, hours later you wake up, except he didn't.
I see. Okay. Because I looked today.
So apparently he was gay, and he was,
Doing
looking
something.
for something.
Okay. Well, what was interesting to me is because he was 38 years old and of the Storm Chasers. Now, the Weather Channel co-founder who said global warming was a hoax dies at the age of 83.
Now, that's interesting. I was wondering if they were going to knock him off for saying that it's a hoax, and he's the creator of Weather Channel.
Yes, and also Good Morning America's original meteorologist. So we have a 38-year-old dealing with storm chasers and 83 global warming.
Well, in that case, I would have to say there's a connection there because it's mirror programming.
Right, that's what I was thinking. So that's why I reported on those and put
Yeah,
those
but
two
he
together.
did take the date rape drug.
Or somebody gave it to him. We don't know.
No, they said he was taking it,
And then we have Palomo Spain, age 25. And for him to
That's a name or a place?
That's a name. He is a designer, and he staged a show at Paris Men's Fashion Week this past week, where he had male models going down the runway in frilly dresses,
goodness.
feathered capes, and silk suspenders.
Why would any man dress like that?
He believes gender fluidity is not solely a fashion statement, but a way of being. And he said he's the latest designer to embrace gender-neutral fashion. He said Chanel liberated women after World War I by dressing them in male fabrics like tweed.
She also was up the butts of the Nazis, but go on.
And when Yves Saint Laurent put women in dinner jackets, it was an absolute revolution. I am doing the opposite. Now, what was interesting to me, I'm going to report a little bit more on this one, but what was interesting to me when I looked through the pictures is it reminded me of how men used to dress in the Middle Ages. You know, upper class men with heels, and they had the kind of the blue sun things.
Like
they did. I saw them. You go look.
Heels?
Yeah.
No.
Yes, the men wore heels.
They were boots.
With heels.
Well, boots have heels.
Yes, but they also had buckles, and they had other things on them that then became more feminized. But it used to be for upper class society, men would wear those kind of things.
Well, Egyptian men used to wear eye makeup.
Exactly, lots of things. But if you go and you look at that, you know, you see the little blue sun skirts and the puffs here and there. If you look in the pictures they have like of Henry VIII and people like that, they have all this silk embroidery and brocades. I saw the pictures
of this. This was not that.
It's a takeoff of that, in my opinion, because remember, we're telling people that they're bringing back the Middle Ages, and to me, this is a way of bringing back the Middle Ages.
I particularly want to see the dungeon.
I don't know if you want to see that.
Yeah,
I'm sure they've got one.
I want to have my own dungeon and put people in it.
This designer goes on to say he believes he's part of a generation who refuses to define people in binary terms. It's just a way of giving guys who want to the possibility to wear really sophisticated materials and certain shapes and silhouettes.
Okay, listen. How many men do you think are going to wear that?
Well, they'll start it off. This is how they start opening the frequency.
Even gay men would not wear that.
Well, you don't know these days. I don't know. But I think that the upper class people will start because it's more of the medieval times.
I don't think so.
And apparently there's a clothing line called River Island that recently started embracing gender-neutral clothing after launching its very first genderless clothing collection for kids. Mm. Then there is another label called John Lewis that launched its kids' clothes line last fall, and also ditched the boys and girls labels from his children clothing line. So they're working on the little ones because that's the way they do it. Now, how about this one? Of course, I have to bring in Tiffany Trump's name, who she was the flower girl for two New York socialites, Quentin Esme Brown, I guess that's a female, and Peter Carey Peterson, who got married in Las Vegas this past week, and Tiffany Trump was the flower girl.
Yeah.
And they're planning to make their marriage a sexless open marriage.
Yeah, I don't understand that.
And the experts, of course, are saying this is wonderful.
Yes, but what's the point?
Well, I don't understand, because they're soulmates and they want to finalize their commitment, and they're not romantically involved. They claim they've never had sex with each other, but they're going to continue
with other people.
To date other people.
So then why are they together? Can't they just be friends?
They want to show that there is no right or wrong. And then a licensed therapist named Susan Gadua, and co-author of a book called The New I Do, says there are all kinds of relationships, and whatever suits their needs is fine. And now here we go again. She goes, rather than being an emotion-based marriage, of course, even though they say it's based on friendship, that's emotion, it's a purpose-driven marriage, which is kind of a throwback to how we used to marry before the Industrial Revolution.
No, you got married to have children and to have an economic base. Always.
Yeah,
and did you see the other thing that was on both CNN and other that said that now they encourage wives and husbands to have affairs in front of each other because watching your spouse with another person is good for your marriage. Did you see that? I've seen that.
I didn't see it, but I've heard that before because they're trying to bring in the polyamory, the group
it's
sex,
New World religion,
right? Ritual. So that's what they're encouraging you to do. Now this is my last story, and this one is a very fascinating story because I've missed it. Did you know that there is a new craze sweeping the nation?
Yes.
What's it called?
They eat detergent.
Yes,
pods.
Tide Pod Challenge.
Brain dead morons. Young
people eat the pods on camera. And then they upload the videos to social media
platforms. To watch them
platforms.
die and throw up.
It's just crazy.
Who started this moronic thing?
I don't know. Well, anyway,
it makes the ice thing look good.
Vinny's Pizzeria in Brooklyn.
Of course, Vinny.
Vinny. You know Vinny?
Who's talking to me? Do I know Vinny?
He's making now a little pizza with the food coloring. And he says,
no, don't even say it.
He says if you want to eat
a detergent pizza?
Instead, well, he's not putting the real thing.
Oh, thank goodness.
He's making it like a parody of that.
Then he needs a squitch in the head.
He's saying, if you want to eat soap, don't eat soap, come to here and have my pizza instead. But what's interesting is he said that social media sites have removed videos of people eating his pizza.
But they leave the ones eating detergent.
Well, they're trying to take them down, is what they're saying. But he says if you happen to look at this laundry detergent pot and for some reason find it appetizing, then come down here and eat actual food.
What brain-dead moron would look at detergent and say, oh, I think I'll eat that?
I don't know. That's crazy.
That's a moron.
So don't do that. And if you know anybody that wants to eat
I'm sorry, you're a freaking moron if you even think about it.
Send them to Vinny's Pizzeria and have pizza. I'd rather eat pizza than a laundry detergent pod, wouldn't you?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I have a couple of things to show you.
You do? What are you going to show?
Well, it's very fascinating and I love it. It was
do?
a gift from the Zazzle store creator. Wow. Look, Lion Frequency. You see it? But wait, it gets even better. Look what's on the back.
Wow.
My family portrait.
Yeah, and if you want to know about Lion Frequency, we have about that in Healing Archetypes and Symbols. We have it in Hyperspace Plus. Making noise over there. And we have the Hyperspace Helper. All three of those go in a really nice envelope right directly to your home.
But the next thing is it brings tears to my eyes.
Yeah.
Also, Sverdlovatka.
Oh my.
Yes, look people, the sword and the leaf. Vodka from the Zazzle store. Well, it's just the label.
Yeah.
But we will eventually, I hope, have it. And look what it says on the label, people, if I can read it to you. It says, a Russian Viking vodka fit for the Emperor of the Universe.
So when will we give it to the Emperor of the Universe?
Well, I don't know, but right now, I'm going to give it to my baby. You can have a little bit.
I'm sorry you have to watch
and they
this,
can have
people.
a little bit. And, don't everybody get a little bit.
Sorry, this is what I have to put up with every day. Yeah, stop that. That's terrible.
Thank you.
Disgusting.
Thank you.
Anyway, so on to children. I want to remind you that our new book is out, The Little Fluff's Aura. There's this about energy fields. It's really wonderful. There are a total of 4 in this series. The 3 are on their way to be due out in the next few months. And if you, by chance, speak another language and you want to learn some of our concepts in English, even though it's a children's book, there are a lot of good things in here written very simply that will give you a lot of really fascinating tools.
Maybe you can send that to Mr. Trump.
Maybe. And then, of course, we have our Italy trip. So be sure you look this up on the website the first week in June. Our Alpine Clear, if you have issues. This is a really reasonable trip. For example, for 7 nights lodging, 7 breakfasts, 7 dinners, 2 picnic lunches, 710 euros. Breakfast,
that's pretty good.
Dinner, couple of lunches.
That includes the hotel.
And includes the hotel.
And food.
Yes, so it's incredible. So especially if you're already in Europe, it's an amazing deal. The biggest thing from the U.S. is to get there. But if you get your ticket right away, then you will can get the cheapest. But this registration closes May 1st. If you're interested in going, be sure to check with us because we want to be sure that we can get you back and forth to the airport with our group. Because we go into Milan, it takes us about 3 hours to get to the mountains, and we go back to Milan and we fly out the next day. So you want to check with us to make sure that it is in alignment with what we have going on. Okay, more books for you. Classic, Blue Blood, True Blood, True World History. A lot of people love these. Again, 2 books, fits great in an envelope. Sometimes we can get another 3 or 4. Programming, Deprogramming, True Reality of Sexuality, 13 Cubed. Be in control of your own mind so no one else is in control but for you. And of course, some classics. We have one of your favorites. You want to read the title?
Stuart Says.
Stuart Says. This is a great book. The coffee table tables, a great gift for somebody. Affirmations. You can pick this up and find something to help you out. No matter what your issue is, it's in this book. And of course, Universal Law, Decoding Your Life. An experiential course in self-integration. So this should definitely be in your library. So,
and hopefully we will have that medical book out very soon.
Well, we will tell them when we do, so that's why I don't tell them anymore. Because,
well, I do because I'm trying to get some pressure on you to finish it.
Well, it's getting there. Anyway, so we have always lots of things going on. Our next big thing, of course, is the June trip to Italy.
The next big thing for me is Ecuador.
Yes, but you're already on your way. So it's like if you're not in Ecuador, you better either get there or tell your friends and family.
And before Italy, I may be in Argentina.
That's true. We're working on that. Anything else?
Probably, but
we like our Facebook pages. Get your expansions membership, less than $1 a day. Check out the Zazzle store. We've got incredible products on there. Like I said, like our Facebook pages, I think.
You did.
Yep. Like,
Many
share, and
times.
comment on our YouTube. I have to tell them many times because it takes a while for that to sink in.
They're dopey.
You gotta let it sink in, then you gotta do it. Don't just think about it, do. Okay?
Okay.
It's the difference between the movers and the shakers.
And the
So-
fighters.
So until next time,
See ya when I come back. Bye.
bye.